The weather's absolutely dreadful up here in the north of England at the moment, I'm afraid to say. It is raining without any clear end in sight. I also have a particularly nasty cold at the moment as well, so I can't really be bothered to do anything. I just want to maybe sit and watch a couple of movies, maybe binge watch some of my favourite TV shows, or just play a casual game or two. But I'm in a bit of a quandary. What device am I going to use to be able to do this? Well, how about this Tanix TX9 Pro? It's got an Amlogic S912 octa-core processor, so it's going to be fast. It's got 3GB of RAM. It's also got dual-band Wi-Fi, and all those bells and whistles that we have come to expect from devices such as this. But how does it stack up against those other S912 devices that we've looked at in the past, such as the T95Z Plus, the Beelink GT1 Ultimate, the MXQproject Pro, and even the H96 Plus TV stick? Well, today we're going to find out just that. My name's Scott, and you are watching the MXQproject. So let's get unboxing the TX9. As you can see, the box is very nice. It's better than some of the ones we've had lately. It's got some information on the front there, just at the bottom, and on the back here, and I'll just get that into focus. It's just telling you what version's inside this box, inside the packaging. So we can see that it's the 3GB of RAM version and the 32GB of storage. So let's get unboxing this now. So here we have the Tanix itself, and it's very nice and it's very professionally made, I think. It's got this really nice kind of matte plastic on either side and then a glossy plastic on the top, and as you can see on the Tanix logo, that's actually the LED light, so that will light up as well when you plug it in. And we've got an LED display on the front which will display a clock and other little bits of information, which is nice. And there's the bottom there. Now if we just flip this round and take a look at the back, here's our connectivity. As you can see, we've got the standard power jack, HDMI input, gigabit Ethernet port, and we also have two USB ports. Now they're on a USB 2.0, which is a bit disappointing, but we'll see how we get on later on. We also have the SPDIF audio output as well there, and a little reset button next to it, I presume that is, and flip it around to this side, we can almost see a TF card reader as well. So overall, very impressed. Let's see what we've got next. Lovely bit of useless foam there, which is nice. And some more useless cardboard. Lovely. And the bog standard Chinese instruction manual, if you can call it that. It is more of a badly written pamphlet, if you ask me. It's got some vague instructions on updating and connecting to the Wi-Fi, and that's about it. So not good for anything really, but I wasn't expecting anything more, to be completely honest. And we have the power jack here. They've actually supplied me with a UK plug this time, which is great, because we normally get the European ones or the USA ones. So they've sent me an English plug, which is good. And of course the standard HDMI lead there. Nothing too special about that. And last but not least, if I can get this out of here, we have the standard IR remote control. Here it is, just here. Nothing too special. I'm probably not even going to use this. I'll just end up using my air mouse, as I always do. So that's about it for the unboxing. So what we're going to do now is power the thing up and just see what it can do, really. We'll test some games as usual. I'll do some benchmarking apps, and we'll look at the performance. We'll look at Netflix, the DRM info. Anyway, stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a second when I've powered this bad boy up. So here we have the standard Tanix TX9 launcher. It's a very interesting launcher, I have to say, although it does have some lag, but it is unlike any launcher I've seen before. I'm also going to point out now that both status bars are in fact intact, whereas on some devices, especially ones running Android 7, these status bars appear to be missing or locked out, and there's not much you can do about it, but they are both here, and I know a lot of people ask about that. But this launcher is very nice. It's got some nice big shortcuts ready there for you to launch some of the more popular apps on the Play Store. It's got this scroll wheel at the side, so we can scroll through the apps and the settings, and it also has the function to add our own custom shortcuts to the launcher screen. So if I go ahead now and maybe add Modern Combat 5, I reckon just to show you how it's done, and that will add us a shortcut to the main home screen to launch it with ease. Now, if we scroll back up to the settings app, we're going to see what version of Android this is actually running. But I'm going to point out first that it's actually got a kill apps process and a speed test as well, so you can free up some RAM and you can also check your memory. So if we go to the settings app, it does have its own settings app as well, not tied into the Android version. But you can see here we've got dual band Wi-Fi and all them kinds of things, so you can set your Wi-Fi and everything in here. But if we go back up to common, we can go into more settings and access the actual Android settings. So if we go down here, scroll all the way down to the about section, we'll be able to see that it's running Android 7.1.2, which is Nougat, which means that it's running the latest operating system available for these devices. So next up, let's take a look at the Play Store and see how that gets on. Now, here we are in the Play Store. Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier that we were having some problems with lag on the UI, on the user interface, and that is more prevalent while using the Play Store. As you can maybe see here, there is quite a bit of noticeable lag, which is a shame because on other devices of very, very similar, if not the same specs, this lag just wasn't present, so it's starting to look like it may be a firmware issue. But the Play Store works okay, you can access all your titles easily, there's just that little bit of lag there. So let's move on now and let's take a look at Kodi and how it runs on this device. Kodi seems to be running just fine on this device. I uninstalled their stock version, which was called TV Center, which was loaded with random outdated add-ons. So I installed a fresh copy, and it's running absolutely fine. And if we go up to settings, we'll have a look at what kind of toll it's taking on the hardware. So if we go into settings here and go down to system information, and we can see that it's not doing any damage really at all to the hardware of this box. It's using very little RAM and a minute amount of CPU power, which is good. And I didn't expect anything less, but people like to see Kodi running on these things, so as usual I've included it. But from now on, with an S912 device, or even an S905 device running Android, you're going to get a pretty decent Kodi performance. Now, if you're going to be loading that with add-ons, which I may touch upon a little bit, then you might start seeing some deterioration in performance. But we're not going to be covering add-ons or anything like that, because that's not what we're about. So let's move straight on to the next bit, and I'm going to show you this weird little app that they've included on the Tanix TX9. Now, I know I just said I wasn't going to cover Kodi add-ons in this video too much, but they've included this strange little app that I've not seen before, which is to update the Kodi add-ons. And I'm assuming they were the ones that were bundled with their own fork of Kodi, their TV Center. So I'm going to go ahead and click download and see what that does. Now, the add-ons that were included in the stock Kodi that they included on their firmware was really outdated, ones like Phoenix and things like that, and Exodus and things, and ones that just won't work anymore. So I'm going to assume that this is supposed to update them. So I haven't got any kind of preconceptions that this is actually going to work. But we're going to try it anyway and see what happens, because I've never seen this kind of thing before in any box that I've reviewed. So let's see how we get on. Yeah, so it did absolutely nothing, so moving swiftly on. One of the things we've recently touched upon in a very recent video is the restrictions of DRM, that's digital rights management, on boxes such as these, especially when using apps such as Netflix. So I've gone and brought up the DRM info of this device, and it is telling us that it is Widevine Security Level 3, which means that it may not play very nicely with Netflix at all, because to get a full Netflix experience and be able to stream full 1080p and 4K video through Netflix, and just basically make the most out of it, you need to be Security Level 1. Also, you can see that this device is in fact rooted, and again, Netflix doesn't always play nice with rooted devices, so we may run into some trouble. I did try to install Netflix off the Play Store, but it told me that it wasn't compatible with this device, so that is probably that DRM stuff getting in the way of me using Netflix. So I went ahead to Netflix's official website, and there was a link to an APK that I could install manually, and it did actually install. So we're going to jump over there now and see what kind of experience we get with Netflix on this box. So the Netflix app itself, meaning the user interface, is working just fine. I installed it from that APK that I mentioned earlier from the official website, and it seems to be working absolutely great. So let's play a video, let's try the Magic School Bus rides again, just for the sheer sake of it, and click play on that and see if it plays. and it seems to be playing absolutely fine for me. I'm on a 1080p screen, and it seems to be playing okay. I can't actually tell what quality it's playing at the moment on the Android app. As far as I'm aware, there's no button to display the resolution that a video is playing at, but it looks good enough for me. And if, like I said in the start of the video, you're just wanting something so you can kick back, watch a few movies and TV shows, this should be adequate for you, and you needn't worry about any of that DRM stuff. So let's move swiftly on, and we're going to try the YouTube app now and see what the video playback is like within there. The YouTube app works as well as can be expected, as you can see, so let's go ahead and search for a video. Let's search for MXQproject and have a quick look at our channel. So here's our channel here. Let's just choose a video. I think we'll probably go for this Netflix video here, and let's just see how it's played. And it seems to be played absolutely fine. Quality looks good. 720p there. So let's move on. We'll play another video, then we'll move on to the benchmarking. For those that are interested, here are the results of the Geekbench test. It is testing the CPU usage and things like that. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'll scroll through and you can look through at your leisure. And if we come back up, so that's 474 on the single core score and 2134 on the multi-core score, and some more detailed results here as well. So we're going to scoot over now to the CPU Z test. It's another benchmarking tool I use to test it, and we'll take a look at those results as well. So CPU Z has clocked the processor at 1.51 GHz, which is correct, and it also gives us a load of device information about the device itself and all that kind of stuff. So I'll just click through these for you guys to have a quick look. Battery's a bit pointless because it doesn't run off a battery. Yeah, nothing too interesting there, so let's move straight on to gaming. Asphalt 8 first, one of the games we test on all the boxes we do reviews for, and unfortunately on this one we have to dial back down the graphics and visual settings quite a bit to be able to get a smoother gameplay performance. Now, on some of the other S912 devices that we have looked at in the past, we've managed to get away with playing this on the highest settings most of the time with minimal issues, but unfortunately the Tanix TX9 is edging behind slightly on this because we tried on the high settings and we were getting a lot of issues and a lot of frame rate drops, and it wasn't a pleasant experience, so we have to dial these settings back to be able to get it to an adequate level to play. And that's not a bad thing, we can still play this game, just but visually it's not going to be as nice, and there's still a few choppy parts in it as well, and I would just like to have been able to play this on the highest settings. But alas, it wasn't to be, but maybe we'll look out with the next game, which is going to be Modern Combat 5. Now, Modern Combat 5 is a game that we normally have to dial back the settings for and everything we try it on, and this was no exception. So the TX9 is on par with the other boxes we reviewed for this game. We've had to dial back down the settings to give it a better performance. Unfortunately, that does come at a cost of some of the visuals and things like that, but it's playing okay, and you could probably sit for a good while and play on this game. Next up, we're going to be testing Sonic the Hedgehog, so stay tuned for that. Now, Sonic the Hedgehog's running absolutely fine. This is the Google Play Store version that Sega have ported, and it is available for free on the Google Play Store, and I recommend you get it because it's a really fun game. And I'm actually playing this with an Xbox 360 wired joypad as well, and not an official one either. This is one I bought from China, and it's working absolutely fine. Game's running fine, zero complaints there, so let's move straight on. Now we're playing Crazy Taxi. This is a great game and it's very addictive, and if you haven't played it before, I recommend you pick it up. You can either get an emulated version of it, go out and download a ROM, or you can get it for free now on the Google Play Store. Now this is the original version. There is another version on there as well. I can't remember what it's called, but this is the original version. This is the Dreamcast version, and it's absolutely great. It's running fine, sound is great, it looks great, and it's just playing really well, again with the joypad. So I think that brings us to the end of the gaming section. So now we're just going to recap about this box, what I think of it and my final thoughts, etc, blah 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 blah. So stick around guys, and we're going to give a brief summary of everything we've covered in this video. So I'm just about coming to the end of the review now, so I'll just do a quick recap and conclusion about what we've looked at today. We've been reviewing the Tanix TX9 box, and we've been looking at the hardware, what you get in the box, and powering it up and testing various things on it, such as gaming, video playback, doing a couple of benchmarks on there, benchmark tests, and all that other stuff. Looked at a little bit of DRM and all that. And in conclusion, really, I don't think that I can properly recommend this box to you people yet, because I think it's a great idea and I think the box could be really something special, but at this time being, I don't think that it is quite up to code. Now, I was really excited when I first got it. It looked great. I was really excited to plug it in and try it, and when I plugged it in and saw that launcher, I had nothing but high hopes. But then the firmware started to lag, even in the menus, just scrolling through apps on the Play Store, then eventually on YouTube and Netflix and the games, everything just kind of slowed to a crawl sometimes, which says to me that there may be something up with the firmware. If not, maybe I've just got a faulty box. But I don't have more than one to test. I have to go on the one that I've been sent, and unfortunately this one just wasn't up to code. For the same price, you could get a box with the same or even better specs, and it's going to perform 10 times better for you. Now, of course, I'll be leaving the links in the description so you can take a look at this box for yourself and the specs, and a couple of other boxes as well for you to kind of compare to. Now, there's nothing else left to say except I hope you've really enjoyed this review. I hope you've understood it and it's been informative and I haven't rambled too much. And don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to the channel because it really does help us. We've also got the website, don't forget, and the Twitter account, that's at MXQproject. Come and follow us on there. There's also a link to the Facebook group, really friendly community over there. And we've also got Patreon as well, which will really help. Anyway, I've been Scott, you've been watching the MXQ Project, and I shall see you in the next one.
I'm a computer. I'm a computery guy.